Hello.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. Oh, okay. Happy Wednesday.
Yes, it is.
Okay. How is everybody? Everybody having a good Wednesday? Jen, how are you? Are you ready for crime and whiskey and Wednesday?
I am. I'm actually really excited about this because it's still ongoing. We still just 2 weeks ago. So that was pretty neat. And I saw an update yesterday. So I'm awesome.
Okay, so Lil, you do sound a little bit like a robot and echoey, staticky kind of. Well, okay, we'll do a test every now and then. Technical stuff stinks, I'm not gonna lie. All right, let's see who's here. Scott Pixley's here in bright and early. Cheers, Scott, how are you? And James Morgan is here. Hi, James. Hot Ramen is here and Slapshot. Jerry Black, thanks for joining us. Cheers. It is another thrilling tale tonight. So, of course, Lil is here talking about our robot stream that we have going on. And Kathy Jo Wow is in the background doing some technical stuff for us. Let's see. We've got our I'm so blind. See, I'm blind again. Our Deb y'all is here. And Emily Chambers, Jerry Black, Top Dog, Big Vic's Backyard BS. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for joining. Ray Marie is here. Hello, Ray Marie. How are you? Beautiful. Mike Stahl says, sup, y'all. Cheers, wow. Cheers, Mike. And John T. Cheers, Michelle and all. Cheers, John T. Okay. Oh, Eric Thompson is here. Hello. Okay. So we have tons of stuff going on tonight, a lot to cover. We are just going to cram it in there. And so I have Kathy Jo's helping Jen and I in the background because we have so much to throw into this that she's going to be highlighting chat so that we can try and interact and still go through all the little rabbit holes on this case. So I'm so excited. James Morgan, Salty Lettuce. Cheers, Salty Lettuce. And Zachary Jones is here. Okay. Did anybody go? I know people talked about it. Did anybody go pick up the ingredients and make this drink that we're doing? Let me know. And when Jen comes back on, she can walk us through. I gotta show you though. I'm excited, guys. You got to see this. All right. It's so beautiful. It's beautiful. It's glary, but beautiful. Isn't that me? And there is no ladylike way to drink this without a straw. I'm just saying that strawberry is freaking huge. Okay. Lil is making the drink right now. Hi, Jen.
Hi. Does that sound any better?
It's better. I hear a little bit of staticky in there, but let's go with it.
Okay. Just let me know.
Let's roll.
Okay.
So yes, James Morgan says Cheech was praising Jen's cocktail. He was. I did see that.
Yes. It's
so
a good
Lil
one.
is making it. Lil's making it right now, Jen.
Oh, perfect. That's awesome. So the Kentucky Buck cocktail is actually created by Eric Castro. He owns a bar in San Diego.
We have that back again. Oh. Are you wearing earbuds by chance?
I am wearing earbuds. Should I check them out and see if that works?
Yeah, I would. I'd give it a shot. Take those babies out, see what happens. Oh, Eric Thompson's drinking one right now. That is wonderful. Zachary Jones says that Cheech broke the mic. It's Cheech's fault. So we're going to go with that. Hot Ramen went to a local shop to pick up Larceny Barrel Proof. And there was just an architect just chilling right next to it. Let us know what you think of that. That's so good. I loved doing that stream. It was so good. Those look like Costco giant strawberries, right? Look at that thing. And they were all like that. Like you should see Kathy Jo's drink. It's exactly the same. They're monstrous. Top Dog says, I'm on vacation, so I cannot make the drink. It's great to be in the same time zone as you. I think. You think? I think. So, have you guys heard of Lori Vallow? Lori Vallow Daybell, or all the other names that she's had. This chick, I'll tell you, she is a piece of work. I don't know, she had like 4 husbands, which, I mean, I might not be on my first husband. I don't know. But hers are like almost all dead. So there's that. They call her the Doomsday Mom. She's got a couple other names, but this case actually hasn't been tried yet. So I live in Ada County in Idaho, and they are actually trying her in Ada County. They just decided to seek the death penalty. So we're going to go all the way up to there, and then maybe we can come back another time and do a quick update, because this is a wacky story. I mean, it's got it all. It's got cults and, okay, so trigger warning. All right, we're going to do our disclaimer now. We got to start doing disclaimers, apparently. So this case contains potentially triggering topics such as murder, abuse, religion, cults, and children. So if any of that is disturbing, you may want to consider coming back and watching the replay or just skipping it all together. So, okay, now that we did that. Jerry Black says that's a Texas strawberry. Yeah, it is. Stella can't wait to hear our take on this. Well, yeah, Emily Chambers, Lori Vallow is a Mormon prepper chaos mess. That's one of the things, yeah. Eric Thompson, 4 exes and all dead. Oh, the horror. I think one might still be living. I don't think they're all dead. Yeah, one's still living. So, she missed one. Okay. Arizona is Top Dog's time. Okay. Hello, Tim. Cheers to you, sir. Hope you and my hubby are having a good time. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I know that Jen's working on her audio, but we have got to get going on this because there's so much information. I know she'll jump right back in when she can. It's not a big deal at all. So we'll go over some housekeeping stuff. We are doing a giveaway tonight. So as usual, every $5 gets you in, but we're just doing the one at the end of the stream tonight because we have so much going on. So we are giving away, if I can reach it, we're giving away a bottle of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C921. So that is what's up for grabs tonight. Tag Kathy Jo Wow in the chat with the amount of entries that you're in. In the description is the donation links. So with that, I think we can have someone drop those links in the chat too for you, so it's a little bit easier to get entered. So if you are here and you're hanging out with us and you think that you like true crime and you like whiskey and you like us, maybe hit the like button. That's really helpful. If you really love us, then go ahead and subscribe and hit the notifications so you know when we're streaming, which just happens to be every Wednesday night. So with that, I am not seeing, my chat is jumping on me too. We're just doing all the tech stuff. Okay, so the cocktail that Jen did, she did do a video. The video, the link to the video is in the description if you want to go back and watch it later on how to make it. But I'm going to show you my monster strawberry. Okay, that thing is amazing. This is so good. It is the Kentucky Buck, and it's really refreshing. It's got like ginger beer and strawberries and all kinds of stuff in it. So hopefully some of you had a chance to get some of the ingredients and you're sipping it with us. I know Lil said that she was making it right now. Eric Thompson was drinking it. I think there was someone else too. I don't know. Do the boys use WOW as an excuse to have a play date? Hot Ramen asks. Yes, very much so. Our Women Whiskey Wednesdays is Wednesday boy cigar night, whiskey night, something like that. So, oh, Beth Bourbon's in the house. Hello, how are you? Good to see you, Nate. Okay. So basically, Lori Vallow Daybell, she, I have a hard time saying Daybell because like she got married like right at the, anyway. Okay. She was born Lori Noreen Cox on June 26th, 1973. So she's my age and in prison or in jail, waiting to go to prison. Anyway, in San Bernardino, California. So, okay, sorry, I lost my place. Told you so much. I'm a little overwhelmed. She was raised in a super religious LDS family. She was very engulfed in the beliefs. And all right, hello.
Hello, I'm giving it one more shot and see if
All
this
right.
works.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay.
It sounds good. Sounds good so
All right.
far.
Okay, good.
All right.
I'm gonna try not to move. Maybe that will work.
Don't stress out. It's women, women whiskeys.
Oh yeah.
We're a technical shit show every single week. So, right?
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yours looks better than mine. Did you put yours looks fizzier? Did you put more ginger beer in it?
Probably. I freehand the ginger beer.
This looks good. Okay, so I was just diving in to her being born, being raised in a very LDS household. She was going to go do missionary work after high school, that sort of thing. None of that really happened because in 92 is when she married her high school boyfriend, Nelson Yanes. But they weren't married very long. They were like short-lived, got divorced, right?
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of information. Her first two marriages were kind of short.
Mm-hmm. So she got married in 92. They got divorced right after that. In 95, she married William, I'm going to butcher this, Lagioia. How do you,
Sounds good to me.
Okay. So sorry that I butchered that name, but they had a son, Colby. So they had their son in 96 and divorced in 98. Cheers, Juniper Lane. How are you? Glad you're here. Getting into our true crime here. So in 2005, Lori and, I'm just jumping right ahead. We're not in 2005 yet. We are in.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I'm going to
It's a lot.
my notes. In 2001, she married Joseph Ryan, who adopted Colby, and they had a daughter together, Tylee. So Tylee was born in 2002. So according to Colby, his stepdad, Ryan, was physically abusive, sexually abusive to him. And she was more into herself than she was into being like the family mom and wife and all that. So she was, oh yeah, that's right. She was in a beauty pageant, like a Mrs. Beauty pageant, and lost. And there was some weird stuff. Like they're like, hey, what if you were a single mom? And she did like these funny little quotes. I don't know what they were, but they weren't flattering as far as what she would do if she was a stay-at-home mom. That's what it was, stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, she tried to do the Miss Texas thing, didn't work.
So, she competed on the Wheel of Fortune. She won $17,000 on Wheel of Fortune. And
I tried to go find the episode, and I couldn't find it.
You couldn't find it?
No.
Well, I didn't even know. That wasn't even a piece that I had picked up. You found that piece. I didn't even know that she had been on Wheel of Fortune. So, like I said, there's so much you can dive into that is so, I'm so glad that we do this together. I see 86 is here. Cheers. How are you? Glad you're here. So around this time is when Lori was telling her husband, Joseph, that God told her she would be on Wheel of Fortune. So she's already talking to God at this point. And then in 2005, they got a divorce. Their custody battle was nasty. Colby did tell Lori that that Joseph had been abusing him, and part of the agreement was that Joseph was to live within 100 miles of the kids. So when Lori moved to Texas, Joseph moved to Arizona. So, she left Texas, went to Arizona. He followed. Yeah, I'm getting there. All right.
That was part of the custody agreement.
So Barry Dixon says, all right, a B-Day edition of Women of Whiskey. Is it your birthday? Is that what you're telling us? Well, if it's your birthday, Barry, happy birthday. Barry's one of our new patrons. So if it's your birthday, I'm glad you're with us. If it's not your birthday, then I don't really know. So, oh, it is. Happy birthday. Thanks for hanging out with us. Okay. Moving right along. 2006, Lori marries Leland Charles Vallow. So he had been a lifelong Catholic, but she was a diehard LDS, and so he converted to her religion. Through fell in love with her, got into her religion, and Tracy Magyar, did I say that right? Cheers, everyone. Normally can't stay up this late. Love it when I'm able to join. Me too, even when I butcher your name. Okay. So, so they were both going through custody battles when they got from their previous marriages. Charles and Lori were. So Charles had 2 sons and Lori had Tylee. The judge in the custody cases combined them so that they could all fight together, which I thought was so weird. Is that weird?
Yeah, the mic's bad. I gotta dip out, Michelle.
Okay, no worries. Okay. It's me. She'll get it fixed. It's okay. We've been there. It sucks. It's so stressful. It's so stressful. All right, you guys can just hang out with me if you're good with it. Everybody's saying happy birthday to Barry. Yeah, I know, guys. She's having some mic issues. Oh, Stella, I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay. So, pretty much what's going on now. So they are fighting each their own custody battles. The judge combined them together. They could all be seen at the same time. Charles's ex-wife started to notice Lori's bizarre behavior. So Lori's starting to act really freaking weird. And Charles's wife, soon to be ex-wife, is like not having it. She's like, this chick, she does not have all her marbles. So at one point, there was a court order to put cameras in Charles and Lori's house for what they called strange goings-ons. I don't know about you, but I've never heard of a judge ordering cameras to be put in someone's home through a child custody. I mean, is that a thing? Is it just that I haven't heard of it? Because that was really weird for me. I don't know. I'd never heard of that. So, hey, Death of Stonks is here. Cheers, everybody. I hope if you have the ingredients, you are drinking this Kentucky Buck. It's so good. Except for my monster strawberry. That thing is freaking bizarre. Strange going-ons. Yes. Okay. So anyway, they have these cameras in there, but it doesn't pick up anything. So it doesn't really go anywhere from that. So after marrying Charles, Lori's ex-husband, Joseph, files a motion stating that Lori's not letting him see the kids. And that he'd been hidden from his daughter for, I don't know, since August or something like that. So everybody's bitching, basically. She's not letting me do this. She's weird. And they go through this whole thing. At the end of it, the court orders a psych eval done because Lori stated that she would choose death over letting Joseph see his daughter. So that custody battle, it lasted 12 years. That's a good point. Bubble Bath Bourbon asks, the judge ordered it or they volunteered to do it to try to clear themselves? I guess now that you say that, it was implied that the judge ordered it, but maybe not. Maybe it was something like it was part of an agreement, or I don't know. Now that you say that, I'm glad. I should probably clarify that because I'm not sure. And then, yeah, Eric says that's not normal. It would probably be an abuse of discretion. So maybe, we try to cross-check sources, but maybe that was one of those things that they were like, hey, are you willing to do this? And they're like, sure. And that's why they didn't catch anything. I don't know. So in 2007, Joseph Ryan was able to see his daughter again. And directly after that visit with his daughter, he was attacked. Jen, how are you?
I'm good. So I really hope this is fixed.
Okay, we're in for it. We're in the hall. Sounds good right now.
Okay. So hopefully Cheech has been calling me to try to fix it because
Okay.
he's on the way to get my family from the airport. So it's phone calls to try to fix it. So hopefully it stays.
It sounds really good right now.
Oh, okay, perfect.
So I'll tell you, tech stuff stresses me out.
Yeah, it's stressful.
Yeah.
Thank you for being patient. I appreciate it.
Oh, geez. Have you seen some of these streams we've done?
I do. I watched them back.
Oh, okay. So we're talking now. We are about, so Lori's brother, Alex Cox, attacks her ex-husband. He like tases him, hits him with a bat, I think it was, and then threatened to kill him. So they, the witnesses intervened, they called the police, and he was sentenced to 90 days in jail.
Yes.
Like, I don't know. This is like he just started getting, and she had told her brother that he was abusive. And that's why this happened, right?
Yeah. So she was telling Alex that he was not only abusive to her, but also the kids. So Alex was a very big defender of Lori and kind of just did what she said. So he took it upon himself to try to help the situation because he didn't feel that his niece and nephew should be abused.
Hot Roman says Stella Lemon. Oh, I don't know. See, I'm trying to. Oh, Lilith Morgan says change of topic. This cocktail is so good.
Yay. I really enjoy it. Cheech likes it too. And he usually is just a neat drinker. So I'm glad people like it.
Yeah, it's got a nice mix of as Julie L would say, the effervescence from the ginger beer. And then that sweet strawberry with the tart lemon. It's just good. It's super good.
Yeah, I like it. And it's refreshing. And now that, it's getting hot down here. It's in the 90s pretty much every day.
Yeah.
So it's definitely something you could sit on the back porch and sip on a hot day.
I wasn't sure if I would like it because I'm not a ginger beer kind of person.
No, I don't drink it at all. So I was a little iffy as well, but it really adds to it. It wouldn't be a good cocktail without it. I would definitely miss that.
Okay, so going back, where am I? Oh, so Charles and Lori, they good. You guys should see these notes. This is this case, okay? Can I just tell you right now? Okay. So he does 90 days in jail. 2014, Charles and Lori, they adopt JJ. So JJ is Charles' sister's grandson, and Charles is the grand uncle to JJ.
Yes.
So his biological parents couldn't take care of him for some reason. And then the grandparents, they worked so much, they had so much going on that they couldn't give the kind of care he needed because he was on the spectrum and needed some extra care. And so Charles and Lori are like, we gotcha. No worries. We'll take care of him.
Absolutely. And by all accounts from people around them, it appeared that Lori was actually a good mom to JJ and Ty Lee. Like everyone felt comfortable with her at all times, which is odd, but everyone puts their first foot forward. So, but they said by all accounts she was a good mom and they thought it was a good fit for them to adopt JJ.
Yeah. And by everybody said they're great. They're great. Cheers. Old Man Joe is here and Isaias Valenzuela. And I know I trip over that every time, but I'm really glad you're here. Me and words. We all know me and words. So, okay. So so they're taking good care of him. Their special needs can be hard, and they're doing good. And so it was stated, and Tylee was very protective of JJ. She was like that overprotective sister, always willing to step up. They were very close as siblings. And Charles even got JJ a service dog to help him. And he was doing great. JJ was like thriving.
Yes, they said he was doing very well with the service dog and everything else. It seemed that the family was doing really well. They were getting along, and on all appearances, a very happy household.
Mm-hmm. Hey, story time's in the house. Cheers, story time.
Cheers. Hope you're doing good.
So, they're doing really good. At the end of 2014, Charles and Lori moved to Kauai with Tylee and JJ. So they lived in Hawaii. Charles ran a small business, joined a church. Lori made friends in the church. And they were doing good. They were members of the community. Kids are doing good. Everybody's happy. That's the end of 2014. 2018, they all moved back to Arizona. So they thought it would be a good move. Charles was a businessman. He ran an investment company. Is that what it was, Jen?
Yes. So he actually ran an investment firm, and he was actually still running it from Hawaii while he was running this small like ice cream shop and things like that to, have something to do while they were also in Hawaii. But it became prohibitive for him to try to run both. And of course, the investment firm is going to take precedence of that because that's the moneymaker. So they decided to move back to Arizona because it'd be better for Charles and the business.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. You got 2 kids and a wife. And so once they get back there, this is when they start noticing major changes in Lori's behavior.
Oh, yeah.
So they're starting to, their marriage is getting a little, shaky. So she says, I love this. She is reincarnated, sent by God. And she is there to relay the teachings of the second coming of Christ. That is her sole purpose right now in life.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I'm sure that's what God meant. Like, doesn't matter if you have children or husbands or anything like that, that you just, they'll be fine. It's okay.
Yeah. She believed that, the world was going to end in June of 2020. And she was one of 144,000 people that were going to be left in order to, repopulate and take over the earth and relay all these teachings. And, it sounds a little out there to a lot of people, but she really wholeheartedly believed that that was going to happen.
Yeah, she completely did. She thought there was like an evil demon or something. What was it? Evil demon living inside Charles. She was waiting for a phone call that would say he was dead.
Yes, she was waiting for a phone call any day to say that he was dead because the demon would have taken him out.
I mean, I had an ex like that once. I was waiting for the day. No, I'm just kidding. So also in 2018, Joseph Ryan actually did pass away.
Yes.
So from a heart attack, maybe.
Yes.
So his body was not found until a wellness check was done about a week later. So a neighbor smelled something and was like, "Hey, there's something funky smelling over there. Can you guys go check that out?" And she did not claim the body. She did not tell the family.
No.
His sister Anne found out 5 weeks later after it happened.
Yes.
The officials actually had to do a background check to find other members of the family because she wouldn't claim the body.
Yeah, she refused. She would not claim his body. Now, she was stating that he was abusing her and her children. So you can look at it, if you don't know the whole case, as someone that just doesn't want to do it because she doesn't respect this person because of what they did to the kids. But we know it's because she just didn't want anything to do with it and tried to, distance herself from the situation.
Yeah. Prescription Bourbon is in the house talking to Embellish Podcast. Cheers, guys. Glad
Cheers.
you both are here. Yes, Kathy Joelle says something smells fishy about this. Yeah. Okay. So they do this, and so Anne decides to go out to Arizona to see her niece Tylee one more time, right? And she speaks with Lori, and she's like, "Oh no, there's something really off here."
Yeah, she says some choice things.
Yeah, she's unhinged. She's losing her bonkers. I mean, Lori was talking about the end of times, the apocalypse, and all that doomsday stuff. Hence the Doomsday Mom name. So Lori said to Anne that she thought it would be better if she got in the car with the kids and drove off a cliff. Now I think that was because of the end of times coming, right?
Yes. So she thought it would be better to end it now before they had to see the end of the world. So she thought it was a more compassionate way for it to be instead of them seeing the end of times.
And then she also made it very clear that the world is a better place without Joseph, according to her.
Yeah, she made no bones about how she felt about that person, and she was happy he was gone. She was happy she did not have to go through custody hearings anymore because their custody case lasted 12 years. Yeah. That's a long custody case. It started when Tylee was 1. So, she went back and forth in a custody case for 12 years, and that's hard for any kid to go through. So Lori was happy. She was like, finally, this guy's out. I don't have to deal with him anymore. Don't have to deal with him having to follow within 100 miles because that was per the custody agreement that he had to be with 100 miles to the kids. So every time she moved, he had to move. So she felt very good about the fact that he was gone.
Yeah, and I mean, even if you think that, you don't say it to his sister. I mean,
no, or his daughter. I mean, she was literally right there.
That too. Yeah. So, this IC86 says this sounds like a movie Mimi Rogers was in, but I don't remember the name.
I
don't
know if they've made a movie about this yet.
I know
it's still
they've done some investigative based on type things. I don't know that it was a movie. And this is current. She's actually awaiting trial right now. So, Barry Dixon, the entries are for a bottle of Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C921 that we're going to give away at the end of the evening. So, nice. To enter, those donation links are in the description. Just tag Kathy Jo Wow if you enter, and how many entries.
Oh, thank you, Kathy Jo, for tracking.
Yes. I was saying earlier that she's in the background kind of doing the tracking and helping, since we're wading through so much information, kind of helping us with chat and whatnot. So she says they're making a Lifetime movie about it.
I'm not surprised.
That sounds like a Lifetime movie.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so at this point, Lori Ann's like, I'm out. You win. See you later. Cuts all ties. And it is later stated that that his death, remember this for later, it's later stated that his death is attributed to blood clots and high blood pressure. Now that's important. So remember that. Put that little piece away in your pocket. 2019. So now Lori tells Charles that she doesn't care about him. She doesn't care about JJ. She said that she is now the reincarnated wife of Joseph Smith.
Yes.
So, I mean, not only now is God talking to her and told her that she is reincarnated and there to teach the teachings, now she is the reincarnated wife of Joseph Smith. And then she disappeared for 58 days.
Just took off. She was gone.
So she goes, and it was like, he told his sister and his family, listen, I am scared. This chick's going to take me out. I know it. She just took, I think, was it $35,000
yes.
out of our bank account and took off, and she's threatening to kill me. So she stated that she was going to kill him and the angels were going to come and dispose of the body.
Yes. So
well, she's the reincarnated wife of Joseph Smith. Of course those angels are going to come dispose of that body.
Yeah, she was basically stating, I think I'm going to kill you and I'm going to get away with it. I think that's what she was planning. I don't know. That's just my opinion. When I was going through everything I was reading and podcasts I was listening to, I would totally believe it. That was how she was thinking. Because she had some other things going on that she hadn't gotten caught for. So her confidence was kind of building on that.
Yeah. I mean, I think she's kind of dipping her toes in at that point and going, could I? Would it be all right? Yes. So at this point, he says February 2019, he's like, I'm out. He files for divorce. So she leaves, takes Tylee back to Hawaii and visits her friend April. And yes. April basically has confirmed everything that she's talking, all this stuff that people are saying is true. This is what she believes, end of times, doomsday, reincarnated. But then she told April about that she was part of, let me get the number right, 144,000 people that are going to be saved at the end of times.
Yep.
So that's why she came to Hawaii, because she's one of the 144,000. And
yeah. And so
everyone else,
she went there.
Y'all screwed. Everyone else is screwed.
Right. So April, of course, because she's part of the LDS church in Hawaii where they met, she's like, that doesn't make sense. That's not what we believe. Where is this coming from? And she was very concerned at this point.
Well, and she said that at this point, Tylee was sleeping all the time, right?
Yes. She was sleeping all the time. It looked like she was depressed. She kind of was disassociated with what was going on. But it was enough for her to take notice of it. Because Tylee was usually outgoing and always wanted to be outside and, have fun with her family. And she was not doing that. She was sleeping a lot, and April was concerned.
Yeah. So Fancy Franchie's in the house. Thanks for joining us, Miss Franchi. And Mark Emernicker says that angels are one way to get rid of a body. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah. I didn't know that was an option. I might have done some bad things a while ago. I don't know. I was always wondering what I was going to do with the body. So then they after this visit, they head back to Arizona. Her 58 days is up. She's back. Everything's great. And Charles is going on a business trip. That's when she takes that $35,000 out of their joint account, goes to the airport and steals Charles's truck.
Yeah, she has a friend drive her there, steals his truck, and then drives back to their home, locked him out, threw all of his things away. I mean, clothes, shoes, all of his stuff was gone. Like, threw it out, locked him out, and would not let him back in. So when he gets back to town, he's like, okay, where's my truck? What's going on? And, he had to figure out what he was going to do from there. Oh, hey, Tim Evans. It's nice to see you. Hi, Robotic.
Robotic. Cheers, all. Tip of the Glen to Women of Whiskeys.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So there's a couple things here. Eric Thompson says 144,000, the ancient Jewish number that meant more than you can count.
Oh. Okay.
Same as Chinese 10,000 things. But then Jerry Black is saying, Jehovah's Witnesses believe will survive and live in heaven on earth. Jerry's mom was a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh, okay. That's very interesting. Thanks. I did not know that.
That makes so much more sense.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay. So now Charles calls police. He's concerned that she's bonkers. So she's got the kids and she's crazy. And so now he's like, listen, she's lost all touch of reality at this point. We got to reel her back here. We got to get her back. We got to get my kids back. So he gets a petition for a mental health evaluation and the cops kick down her door and no one's in the house. So she shows up at the police station the next day with Tylee and is told, hey, she left to keep the kids out of the drama. She did it for the kids.
Yes.
So, I mean, okay, good. If that's true, yay, good for you. And I don't know. Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, she caught Charles cheating on her, and so she left with the kids to keep the kids out of the drama.
Yes,
What's
that was her excuse. It was that he was cheating on her, and then she also said that Charles isn't who he says he is. Like that, she kept stating that that's why she wouldn't let him in the house and wouldn't let him near the kids because it's not who he says he is. Because remember, she believes that there's a demon living inside him, so she's stating he's not who he says he is.
Yeah, I mean, David Basie, me and words, but I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
You guys have got to tell me when I totally screw your
Nice to
names,
see you.
so that I know. Mr. Jiggs, I did see you. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to say hello. And then Beyond the Row is here. Cheers. This story is unbelievable. If she wasn't sitting just a few miles away from me in jail, I would probably have a much harder time believing it.
You know, it was funny when I was researching it. Some of the newsreels I watched is from like where you live.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I wonder if it's different because of where you live. You get a lot more input than we do in Florida. So I actually watched a lot of the old footage from the Idaho news stations.
Yep.
So I think it's cool that you're there. Like, I don't know if they're going to have it open to the public, which I think would be really neat.
Could you imagine what a circus that'll be?
Yeah, it's I think they're not going to allow that. I think they're going to either keep it closed or it's going to be media only.
I don't know if there is any chance at all. You know where I'll be.
I know. They better sneak a camera, like put a GoPro in like a little pocket or something.
Do one of those little spy things that sit here, and I'll be like,
Exactly.
I have old lady glasses. Don't mind me.
Perfect.
So, you know, they do this whole, they do the mental evaluation, and she's released.
Yep.
Like, she's not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Just let her go.
Yeah,
It's
they
all
said
good.
she's fine. And they're like, you can go. Nice to see you. Have a good day, Miss Vallow.
Yeah. So Eric Thompson, that is a very good point. So Eric Thompson is saying, I hope her attorney has pled insanity. If not, he's ineffective. So we'll get into a little bit later. But the thing about this is she actually at first was deemed incompetent to stand trial. She just recently became deemed competent. She had to go to a mental facility, and then she waived her right, or she would not waive her right to a speedy trial, even though her lawyers are like, you need to. She's like, no.
Yeah, but that's per the state constitution. You have the right to a speedy trial, which is in 6 months when you put in your plea. So when she became competent and put her plea in, she didn't waive her right. So they're supposed to go to trial in October. And they're trying to get extended to January.
Yeah. Romarie, you'll come visit me in jail if I get caught. It's not that far for you. And if I don't get through, will you try for me? Just wear the glasses with the little camera. That'd be cool.
It's gonna be interesting to see how that goes.
Tim Robertson's here. Cheers, Tim. How are you?
Oh,
Thanks
cheers,
for joining
Tim.
us. We are,
See you.
as usual, it's fourth Wednesday of the month, so we're talking true crime, Lori Vallow's story, drinking a great cocktail, the Kentucky Buck, and giving away free shit, which is Elijah Craig Barrel Proof C921. Okay. Where were we? Oh my gosh, that's right. She's not cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. She's fine. So in July 11th of 2019, Charles Vallow was shot and killed by her brother Alex. So Alex, who already tased and beat for her, now shot for her. But he says, oh no, this was in total self-defense.
Yeah.
You know, he hit me with a bat. So the police were called to the house that Charles was renting for Lori and the kids during the divorce.
Which is nice.
Huh?
I mean, it was nice. You know, he didn't have to do that, but he was renting a home for her and the children while they were going through this messy divorce.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess maybe that gives you some sense of control over the situation, keep her local, keep her feet planted. So he goes there, and Alex told police that Lori and Tylee were not home at the time of the incident.
Correct.
And Lori told police that she and Tylee were home at the time of the shooting and had only left to take JJ to school.
Yes.
What? Okay. So Lori also told police that Charles had left his cell phone when he came to pick up JJ for school. Charles came back in the house for his cell phone, and Lori was looking in it as she believed he was cheating on her. I mean, this just, I don't know. I'm going to kind of roll through this because it's so much bullshit.
Yeah, it's convoluted.
It's just so much bullshit. So she says this and he says this. Ironically, he ends up dead by the hands of her brother. Yeah, apparently Alex went to his gun and shot him twice in self-defense. Twice.
Yes.
Which it's interesting that Alex says that Charles hit him with a baseball bat. I don't know. I mean, someone hits you with a bat, so you go, you get a gun, you shoot him twice. But she then left to go take the kids, or maybe she didn't, maybe she had already left. And
yeah, as her and her brother, as much as they work together for her goal, they are never on the same page when they speak to officials at any point at all. They're never on the same page. And, they're like, well, how'd the bat get there? And it's because Tylee brought it, because she heard the argument. So she's like, oh, I'm going to go out and, help protect my mom, which, I mean, that's cool. You want to help your mom. And she goes out and points the bat at him. And he's like, and Charles takes it. He's like, no, this is not going to happen. You're not going to hit your stepdad with a bat. And, that's when Alex says he gets involved. And Tylee states she did bring the bat and everything. And she told the cops in her statement.
Yeah. And also, I mean, he's like, oh, he hit me in the head with a bat. And he's got this bloody towel and he's dabbing this small cut on his head.
Yeah.
And they're like, that's not from a bat. He's like, oh, he hit me with a bat. I had to shoot him twice. Twice I had to shoot him.
Yeah.
So they're like, that doesn't even match. Tylee and Alex and Lori, they're all at the station giving their statements and whatnot. And the police what were they, taking him home? Is that what it was? They were taking him home. And yeah, they thought it was odd because she's like talking about Tylee's college plans and, all this random crap. And knowing that, she just got done saying, yeah, my husband was shot and killed by my brother in front of us, but she's going to go to a good school. I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. And the other thing that was interesting that I found in the research was that actually Charles Vallow used to play semi-professional baseball. So if he was going to hit someone in the head with a bat, it was going to be a little bit more serious than a small cut that you can dab with a paper towel and that you're still standing. Because, I mean, they have a much bigger force than a normal person with a bat. Mm-hmm. So I think they didn't really take that into consideration when they were giving the story. But it was the convenient story for them. But it didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't make any sense. Thank you. David says to hit the like button. That is a free and helpful way to support the channel. So take 2 seconds and jump out, hit the like, and then come back in. That'd be great. Okay. That is true. Eric Thompson says people handle trauma differently. They sure do.
Absolutely.
Yep. I don't know. And that's one of the things that we've done so many of these crimes that we've looked into. And I mean, it's so hard to say what's what because it's very easy to be judgmental when you haven't been in those shoes. So I still think she's cuckoo, but okay. Don't come for me. I'm just saying. Just saying.
Just from everything that we've seen, I'd say that she's probably has some things to talk about.
Personal thoughts. So they also the same night that he was shot, Lori throws a pool party at her house.
Yeah.
Like a rager, like the neighbors are complaining about noise and their party on that night.
Yeah, at the house that he was shot at, they threw a pool party. And like you said, neighbors complained, so it's on record that she absolutely threw that pool party the night after that night.
I just Eric Thompson says, I'm going to be the devil's advocate. Eric Thompson for the defendant, Your Honor. Got it. Someone's got to do it. Someone's got to do it.
They do.
Lori texts Charles' sons and says, hey, your dad's dead. Just so you know, by the way. And I'm having a party, okay? You know, they're waiting. She says, I'm waiting on the details of what happened. And she doesn't even tell him. She doesn't tell him he was shot.
No.
Any of those details at all.
She's like, we're just waiting on the ME.
Yeah. Wish I could tell you what happened. I don't really know.
Yeah.
So then she wouldn't answer any phone calls or texts from his sons. And so they found out by looking online. They did some little research online and found out exactly what happened to their dad. So.
Which is sad, you know. And the thing about the text is that Lori was like, oh, I still love you.
Good God. So Charles's family set up a memorial service.
Yes.
But Lori was like, Tylee and JJ are not going. Not going to happen. So these poor kids, can I just say?
Yeah.
There was a $1 million life insurance policy, and it was like, hey, you know, I need to get her off as the beneficiary on this life insurance plan. You know, I think it could be a motivation for her to do something bad.
Absolutely.
And guess what? It was motivation possibly for her to do something bad. Okay, Eric Thompson, I gotta disagree here. Pool party was a way to forget for a while. Trauma is stressful. Now you're just full of baloney.
No, I disagree.
So he did 5 months before he was killed, was attempting to make that change, and told his sister to care for JJ if something ever happened to him.
Yeah, because he was changing the beneficiary to his sister from Lori.
In an email to his sister and another party, he stated Lori changed the password because he was attempting to get into his policy to make the change.
Yep. I mean, she realized that he was going to do it, so she was trying at all ends to try to take care of it before the change was made.
Like hold him off until she could get the deed done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, side note, luckily he was able to change it.
Yeah. So then August 30th, 2019. So now we're in 2019, end of August. That service dog that JJ had that Charles had got him and he was just thriving with that dog. She returns it, takes it back, says there's a change in life circumstances.
Yes.
Do you think if ever that boy needed a service dog, that might have been the point?
Yeah, to deal with the loss of the man that was raising him, the sane one. He was the one taking him to school. Yeah. When Lori went on her little Hawaii excursion for 58 days with Tylee, he was with Charles. I mean, so he was the main caregiver for him for a lot of things. And that dog was something that Charles got him specifically because he wanted him to thrive and feel comfortable because he didn't like being alone or being in his room by himself. So he got him that dog to feel comfortable. Yep. And you're just ripping it away. It definitely looks suspicious.
Well, and honestly, you're ripping the dog away. Like the poor dog, mm-hmm. The dog's sole purpose is this boy.
Right.
I mean, okay. So whatever. She's the devil. She's the devil reincarnate. So that was the end of August. September of 2019. Lori and Tylee and JJ, they move up here to Rexburg, Idaho. They want to be closer to an author, Chad Daybell.
Yes.
So Chad Daybell is a well-known LDS author. So he had published at this time over 25 books, most of them fiction. So I mean, they sit on the fiction shelf at the library. So it is said that it was pretty normal. His faith and his ideas, they aligned with LDS. So it was nothing really drastic or that stood out You know, he was just a very religious man. He did the teachings. He thought that's what he was here to do. Old Man Joe Rexburg. Yes. Rexburg. So he worked with people who stated they had died, went on to the other side, and came back and had some story about the experience. So that was kind of his niche was, you know, I've lived multiple prior lives kind of thing.
Yeah, he really delved into people's near-death experiences. He really wanted to hear about what they experienced, what they saw, what kind of feelings that they had. Did they speak to anybody? Was it more of just an overwhelming feeling of being encompassed in warmth? Like, he really wanted to know and dig into these people's experiences.
I'm sorry, I got totally sidetracked by chat there because I just... I mean,
well,
I'm not wrong.
No. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's absolutely true.
Bourbon is in the chat tonight. Cheers to you.
Oh, cheers, Ben. Nice to see you.
Yeah, he heard this was the place to come for murder. Yep. And crazy murders there are tonight. So multiples. So he's doing all this. He's dealing with, you know, he's saying that he's had past life experiences as well. He's had 2 near-death experiences where he crossed over to another dimension and realized that he'd had other lives prior to this. His dead grandfather showed him his life and his future lives. Okay. My dead grandfather never did that for me.
Yeah, he basically believed that you could be living in 2 separate dimensions basically at the same time. So you're living one life that you're not aware of in one dimension while you're living this life in another dimension. And so he believed that there's a portal in which you can talk to other people from these and to see your future self. So he wholeheartedly believed in these portals and things because of his near-death experiences. And both of them actually happened during surfing accidents. So, you know, you're in the water and you get pounded and all that stuff. You don't know if you're going to come up. There's a lot of feelings going on with that if you've been knocked around in the ocean before. So I could see where he would believe he had a near-death experience just because he got the snot knocked out of him from the ocean. But to believe there's a portal to go into different dimensions, I mean, I don't know about that.
Yeah, so Mr. Jig says, I've had nights like that. Was it hazmat? Is that what it was? Was it hazmat?
Did you see anything?
Stella is legit drunk, so that is...
Oh, well, cool. Well, cheers to you, Stella.
You're in the right place. Okay, so you know, he's doing this up in Idaho. That's where they wanted to be closer to him. So it is stated that in 2014, Chad's belief structure had changed, and that's when they did not align at all with LDS. You know, he decided to leave that church and publishing a company to prepare for the call out at the end of times.
Yes.
So he heard a voice telling him to relocate to Rexburg, Idaho, and him and his wife, Tammy, moved to Rexburg. So, yes. I mean, he had the previous lives on various Earth-like planets. This is my favorite part, the light and dark people.
Yes.
So it's funny, as a child, I had a friend that would play with the chessboard pieces, the darker brown and the lighter brown. And she would say the dark people and the light people, and she'd fight them like this. And I have that in my brain every time I read this part of the story. Sorry, that was too much. Yeah.
You're good. You're good. It's just, you know, he believed that there are different types of people and their belief structure and how their overall aura shades, I guess you can say. So, you know, the dark shader auras were people that actually like followed Satan or the darkness. And then The lighter ones is because they always had followed Jesus Christ. Like they had never made a deviation from that. So he thought that he was able to see these differences just from people walking by. Like he would know.
Beyond the Row says, we women of whiskey and crime need to stick together. LOL. And Trevor Kunkel is here. Cheers, everyone. He says.
Oh, cheers. Nice to see you.
He's now deciding he's traveling and he's getting his message out there. He's doing these events, and it's a big thing. And he's getting these followers, so to speak. And in 2018, isn't that when Lori first met him, was in 2018?
Yes. So he was actually holding a conference. It's like a doomsday prepper type deal, like the end of times. You can live other lives and things like that, because that's what his belief structure is at this point. So that's what he was, relaying to other people. And so Lori had gone to this conference with her friend Melanie Gibbs. And Melanie actually confirms this, that they went to this conference. She actually talked to Chad and then introduced him and Lori. And she was actually one of the first ones to see how quickly that they had bonded and how quickly that they were, quote unquote, falling for each other personally.
Yeah. And then he explained why that was.
Yeah.
So, go ahead. I love this part.
Yeah. So Chad had stated, he lived 31 past lives. Lori lived 21 past lives. And within these past lives, they had actually been married and had been together in, I think it was like 7 or 8 past lives that she was his wife.
Okay. So she was married to him. She was married to Joseph Smith. She was
all different dimensions. So you have to remember. So if you're on a different dimension, you are not aware of your other dimensional self. So you can have all these other spouses in these dimensions because you're not aware that you have a spouse in another dimension because you're not aware of the dimension. It's weird. I've tried to understand it, the red string thing, but it's very hard to put in a box for normal understanding.
So I think we kind of skimmed over it, Jen. But Beyond the Row is saying that if we ever want to have her on the stream to go over some crime, that would be very much welcomed.
Oh, nice. That'd be great.
So that could be fun. That could be a good time.
For sure.
So then we've got, she was obsessed with his book. She was so obsessed with him. It wasn't like infatuation. It was complete obsession, compulsion. Just, he became all that mattered.
Right, because she was familiar with him prior. So she had started reading his Doomsday Prepper books in 2014. So 4 years prior to actually meeting Chad, she had read all his books. She was very well aware of him and his teachings, and she wholeheartedly believed what he was teaching. So when she met basically the person that she believed what he was saying, she was like, this is it. This is the person I need to be connected to. So she ran with it. And, the one thing that I heard, which was odd, was that, Chad actually had built a portal in Lori's house where they could communicate with the other dimension together.
Yeah. Well, and so they're also, all this talking that they're doing, their spouses are still alive. They're still married. So now they're on the down low.
Right. Like they both had separate cell phones, how they were communicating. I believe that Chad had been over to Lori's house prior as well. So they're all still married. But they're definitely taking their relationship on to what they believe they should be together for.
Yeah. And they believe it. Oh, Todd Ballinger, I have to say, this is great to watch. You ladies are awesome. I'll definitely tune in more. Great job, girls, and cheers.
Oh, thanks,
well,
Todd.
Cheers.
Cheers to you.
Glad you're here. Next time, watch the video, get the ingredients, and we'll sip our cocktail together. Which Jen, this is probably one of my favorite ones that we've done.
I know it's mine too. Even I'm so glad that Cheech liked it because he's not a mixed drink person. So I'm glad.
It's good. It's really good. Okay. God, I just finished that. So now I'm gonna have to have a pour.
I had Eagle Rare poured.
Like, luckily I'm prepared. So,
There you go.
So now they're doing on the down low. They're talking to each other. Chad was married. Was it 29? Yes,
29 years.
29 years. 29 years. And she co-wrote some of his books.
Yes.
So,
and she believed wholeheartedly what he was selling as well. Because you remember in 2014 or 15, he was like, hey, these angels told me we need to move to Idaho. And she's like, oh, okay. And they pick up and move. So she believed what he was saying as well.
yeah.
He's a very charismatic person. So he can probably make you believe everything he's saying.
Yeah, I'll tell you. That's whatever. So, so during this time in 2018, JJ finally gets to FaceTime with his grandparents.
Yes.
Now, remember, his grandparents were actually raising him for a minute before Lori adopted him.
Yes.
So they're very involved in his life, and they finally get to do this FaceTime with him. But it was very short, and it was cut off, and they said it sounded very forced and coached. And some of you know, you've heard that conversation where you feel like someone just told them exactly what to say.
Yes.
That's how they felt. And, and JJ being autistic, that would probably, I would assume, be very easy to tell as a grandparent.
Well, I think you're going to understand your grandchildren's mannerisms and, things they say, how they react to certain things, especially when someone's on the spectrum. You're going to see those even more because you want to make sure they're okay. And they did not feel comfortable with this call at all.
Yeah. Hot Rama says, to be fair, the angels tell people to move to Idaho all the time. I mean, that's how I ended up here, and William told me that the angels told him. And I said, okay, let's do it. I'm down. The angels said. And someday they're going to help me dispose of that body.
Yeah, you never know.
Okay, something happens to William. It was not me.
Just putting on that record right now.
Oh my gosh. Eric Thompson. Oh goodness. All right. I'm back on track here. It's already 10:07 and we haven't even gotten to this. We're going to move along. I'm the one going down the rabbit holes tonight, Jen. It's me.
Yeah, we're good. I'm good.
So they do. They where was I? I lost my notes. Oh, so September 8th, 2019. That's the last time that Tylee was seen.
Yes.
So at Yellowstone National Park, JJ and Alex and Tylee, there's pictures at Yellowstone National Park. The morning after Tylee disappeared, investigators say that Alex Cox's cell phone, his GPS placed him at Chad Daybell's backyard on the property for 2 hours.
Yes.
So what? So, okay. So let me reread that. Alex Cox's cell phone was in Chad Daybell's backyard for about 2 hours the morning after Tylee disappeared. Okay. So 14 minutes after the GPS showed him leaving the property, Chad Daybell texts his wife, Tammy Daybell, and the text said this, quote, I spotted a big raccoon along the fence. I hurried and got my gun, and he was still walking along. I got close enough that one shot did the trick. He is now in our pet cemetery. Yes. End quote.
End quote.
So at this point, the grandparents are constantly trying to get in touch with JJ. They still can't get in touch with JJ.
No,
and the last known sighting of JJ was September 17th. He's shown on the Ring doorbell or whatever brand doorbell video thing outside playing with kids. I think that was about the time. Yes, September 24th is the last time he was seen at school.
Yes.
And then she tells the school, I'm going to be homeschooling him. You're not, he won't be here anymore.
Yeah, she told the school they were actually moving out of Idaho to California and that she would be continuing his education because she was already homeschooling Tylee.
So Colby would ask Lori about Tylee, and the responses are always the same text just being sent. Everybody's asking this woman where the children are, and she's got different answers for everybody else.
Yeah.
And none of it's adding up, and nobody's believing it, but nobody's really doing anything about it at this point because nobody's putting all the points together, and it hasn't been that long of a time yet.
Yeah, and she's telling everyone, Tylee's independent because at that point she's 17.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's out with her friends. She's, doing things because, she's 17. She's not going to be home. Who wants to hang out with her parents? She's out and about. And JJ he was always at a friend's house or he was out playing, but he was always unavailable. And that's what was very concerning to the grandparents because they're like, okay, we had basically not even a minute long FaceTime. And now we can't even get a hold of him. So there's got to be some give here, and the excuses that Lori's giving are starting to wear thin.
Yeah, she's on everybody's last nerve. Cheers,
Yes.
Bobby.
Oh, hey, Bobby.
Urban Battalion's here, hanging out with us, talking murder, drinking cocktails, giving away free shit. So that's where people are starting to get a little leery. October 2nd, Lori's niece, Melanie Pulaski, was going through a divorce in custody with her husband, Brandon.
Yes.
So a sniper took a shot at her husband from a Jeep and shattered the window. Here's the thing. The Jeep belonged to Charles Vallow.
Correct.
So after that took place, Melanie moves from Arizona to Idaho, right next door to Lori.
Right. And through all of these moves, Alex is moving with Lori. So he's always close by with Lori. And mind you, Lori, they have other siblings. Like she has another brother and I believe another sister. So, but their connection is very, very strong and they're always in cahoots. And, he's always trying to make sure that she's okay.
So in case you're getting lost in the trail of people around Lori, Alex Cox is her brother.
Yes.
And everywhere she goes, he goes. Everything she does, he does. He is her ride and die to the end. I got you, sis.
And and he's the one that's, he's tasing, Joseph Ryan. He shot and killed Charles Vallow. He's always in the mix of things.
Yeah. Yeah. And maybe not playing with a full deck. Maybe. So, we know that where Lori's deck is, it's gone.
Yeah.
But Melanie says that she never saw the kids living in the townhouse since the time she moved from Arizona. So she would ask Lori, like, where's the kids? And there was always something. The final excuse given was she sent the kids to live with someone else to keep them safe from the grandparents.
Yes.
So Melanie Gibb, she is someone who said her and her boyfriend, David Warwick, were staying with Lori in Rexburg that weekend on the night of September 22nd, 2019. Warwick says he saw Alex Cox carry JJ into Lori's apartment. But the next morning, according to Warwick, when he asked to see JJ, Lori reportedly told them JJ was, quote, being a zombie, end quote, and that Cox had to take him away.
Yes.
So the day after JJ was last seen, Alex Cox's cell phone showed that Cox returned to Chad Daybell's backyard.
Yes.
And he's only there for 17 minutes. One kid disappears. He's in Chad Daybell's backyard.
Yep.
Another kid disappears. He's in Chad Daybell's backyard. And he's ride or die brother. Okay. Just setting the stage. October 1st, 2019, Lori rents a storage locker, a storage shed, those places that you buy the space and you put stuff in there, and there's cameras. And so her and Alex are seen on video multiple times moving stuff in and out of that storage locker. I've watched those videos over and over again, and there's so many different things it could be. And so that's been fun to listen to everybody's different debate over that storage locker and what it was actually used for.
Yeah, because the CCTV footage it's not going to give you like exact definition of what they're carrying in and out of this storage unit. It is just assumed it's their things and getting them out of the house and stuff like that is what they're stating was in there.
So October 2nd, Lori Vallow's nephew-in-law, he's a target of someone does a drive-by shooting in Gilbert, Arizona, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And now, is this the one that, yeah, so right after this incident is when Melanie moves from Arizona right next door to Lori. So there's that.
Yes.
That was on October 2nd. October 9th, Chad Daybell's wife, Tammy, she reports that a man in a ski mask attempted to shoot her with what she thought was a paintball gun.
Yes.
And that was at their home in Salem, Idaho. So, excuse me. She wasn't really concerned about it. She just thought it was odd. How weird. Someone tried to shoot me. That's
she was
weird.
Yeah, she was just calling for Chad, like, hey, Chad, like, there's this guy out here threatening me with a paintball gun, you know, but by the time Chad got there, of course, he was already gone.
Yeah, I mean, I guarantee that it wouldn't even cross her mind that someone would actually be trying to shoot her in Salem, Idaho.
Mm-mm.
So, October 19th, 10 days later, Tammy Daybell is found dead at home of natural causes at the age of 49. So, and family said no to an autopsy. This was 10 days after that.
Well, because remember, the first family that they're going to ask is your spouse.
Right.
So Chad's like, no, we're good. We don't need an autopsy.
Yeah. So what did they attribute it to? They thought possibly high blood pressure and blood clots.
Yes.
Remember back when I said, remember that piece that was so important because someone else died supposedly like that too.
Yep.
So that was October 19th. November 1st, Alex Cox and Lori's niece, Melanie, reportedly seen by Melanie's ex-husband packing up in Chandler, Arizona before driving to Rexburg to discard the children's items.
Yes.
I just can't even.
Yeah, Brandon Bordeaux is very outspoken about this case. You can find his statements online as well. He is a firm believer that his ex-wife, Melanie, Lori's niece, knows exactly what happened to those kids and the timeline and everything that had happened.
Aiden, behave. Please. Thank you. Okay. So at this point, everybody's kind of like, everybody's dying of natural causes. People are getting shot at, but they're not getting killed. Kids are missing. Now people are starting to go, what the truck is really going on here? But by now, November 5th, now this is 2 weeks after the death of Chad's wife, Tammy.
Yes.
2 weeks later, they go off to Kauai, Hawaii, and they get married.
Yes.
Better yet, she bought the wedding rings prior to that on Charles's Amazon account, or?
Yeah, it was on his Amazon account 17 days before Tammy died.
Yeah. So, okay. They were planning on getting married. No harm in that.
No, I mean, especially, one spouse is dead and one's still alive 17 days prior. So one would think that there was a plan afoot between these people to make sure that they were going to be together because they're supposed to be spreading the word as some of the last people here.
Yeah.
So on November 26th of 2019, Larry and Kay Woodcock, who is JJ's grandparents, asked for a welfare check because they hadn't seen or heard from JJ in months. So the police show up at the townhouse, and the first person they run into is dun-dun-dun, Lori's brother, Alex Cox. And, they're like, hey, where's the kids at? We've been asked to do a welfare check. And Alex is like, oh, the kids are with their grandparents. And the cops are like, well, that's fucking funny because that's who called us to do the welfare check.
Highly doubtful.
Right. So here again is another instance where Alex is doing all of Lori's dirty work per se, but they're not on the same page when they're talking to authorities. They're never on the same page. There's never a same story. It's always different.
Yeah.
So Lori came out and told the police officers, hey, the kids are visiting friends in Arizona. They're with this person. So of course police are going to follow up, and those people are like, no, these children aren't here. We haven't seen them, and they have not been here. So of course police are like, okay, this is not kosher. We're not getting any answers at all. And so they decide they're going back the next day. So November 27th, they go back to Lori's place with a search warrant. But by the time they got there, Lori and Chad had already gone and flown back to Hawaii. Because remember, they're married. They're on their honeymoon per se, living it up out there. So they were actually caught on the CCTV footage before they left to go to Hawaii, putting things in the storage unit again. And they were actually able to state that those were the children's things before they left. So as they're in Hawaii, living it up, married, happy, it's supposed to be, great, loving honeymoon. You're in a very beautiful place.
And living the high roller life.
Very, very high roller life. Because remember, Chad's a very established author. So, he's got funds coming in as well. And so they actually tell the landlord while they were there, we have no children and no pets. So it's just us, married couple hanging out in this beautiful place. And what's weird about it is, so the landlord that actually did it, she finds out that Chad's wife had recently passed. So she, she sends him a little email like, hey, I'm sorry about your loss and all of this. And Chad just says, yeah, she woke up. She was peaceful. She didn't wake up. She was peaceful, but I believe she brought Lori to me. And, that's why we're here in all of this.
Wow. I mean, well, and they told other people, so they told some people that Lori had no kids. She
Correct.
Never had children. And then they told other people that Tylee had passed away at the age of 17 or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah. Right. Because remember, Lori had lived in Hawaii prior. So there are people that know she did have children. And of course, the new people did not. So they had to come up with something to tell other people. They're like, oh, when we left Hawaii, when we got back to the States, Tylee had passed away. I'm no longer with Charles. I'm with Chad. So they had to have a backstory in order to, build what they were trying to get out of. They obviously left the States because they felt that it would be a little bit more, mileage between Idaho and Hawaii. So they felt a little bit safer there for the time being. So Alex is still hanging out in the States. So he actually gets married on November 29th to a woman named Zulema. And they have a quick ceremony in Vegas, and he actually ends up taking her last name. So he's getting rid of Cox, and he's going to use Zulema's last name going forward. So
Yeah.
So I mean, there's a couple of different ways you can look at that, right? So he is a known felon. He has stuff going on. So maybe he felt that by changing his last name, he'd have a little bit clearer of a path going forward.
Well, I wonder, and there's no basis on this. It's just something that I wondered was,
Sure.
Because right after this is when his role in this changes drastically.
Yeah. Yes, it does.
So I have to wonder if maybe him taking her last name, maybe he was trying to take a shift to maybe put some distance
I mean, it's possible. So some of the things that I read is that not only was Alex, a very big believer in whatever anything Lori told him, he was also very religious and believed in the LDS teachings. So he didn't necessarily believe that, kids were zombies and things like that, because he felt that if he didn't still in some way support his LDS beliefs, that he would not be able to pass on to, when you die, if you go to heaven or whatever. So
Yeah.
he felt that by doing both, that he was, protecting his sister, doing the right thing. So he wanted to be able to move on, with his faith as well. They don't really know if Alex maybe had a little bit of mental illness or something that made him a little bit more susceptible to the manipulation that Lori was dishing out. But we don't know that. So that's something we can't speak to. So that same weekend that Alex gets married, Melanie gets married, who's Lori's niece. That's the one that the sniper took a shot at her ex-husband and things like that. So they get married and to a mutual friend called Ian. And they dated for 2 weeks before they got married. Just 2 weeks. And then they're like, this is cool. We're going to go get married. And so, unfortunately for Ian, his ex-wife, Natalie, was very aware of Alex Cox and Lori Vallow and all the suspicion that was surrounding them. And she's like, I don't want my kids around that. So I'm going to go with all the information I have, and I'm going to go talk to the children, because they're going through a custody case and she didn't want her kids around it, which, badass. I agree. I'm glad you had that feeling not to have your kids go there. And so she was like, I'm not putting up with this. So she goes to police. She tells them their story. So 11 days later, on December 11th of 2019, the police decide to exhume Tammy Daybell's body for an autopsy. Because remember, Chad had told the medical examiner's office, we don't need an autopsy. It's natural causes. We can move on. The toxicology report has not been released up to this point. So
we still don't know.
We don't know. So they took the autopsy in 2019. We're in 2022. We know the test is done. They have not released the findings, which I understand because they are going to be presenting them in trial. But I'm very interested to see what they found out, especially due to the other weird circumstances of people passing away within Lori's circle.
Real quick, Jen, I'm just going to jump in for just a second.
Absolutely.
So it's 10:30. We are going to run a little bit late tonight. We already knew that. Promise, guys, not that much longer before we start getting into the end of this. It's not over yet. It still takes some crazy turns. I did want to take a minute just so that everybody has a chance to get in. If you are entering to win that Elijah Craig barrel proof C920, the donation links are in the description. $5 gets you in. Tag Kathy Joe Wow in chat with your number of entries. And then we will draw for that at the end. And believe it or not, remember that big stack of papers I had of notes? We are almost there.
We're almost there.
Good shit now. So, yep. Okay.
Absolutely. So the next day after they exhume Tammy Daybell's body, on December 12th, Alex Cox actually dies in the state of Arizona. And
that's the brother. The brother dies.
So Alex Cox has now passed away just in December 12th of 2019. So what's weird about this whole thing is that Lori called his wife Zulema and said, hey, I talked to Alex earlier today. He didn't sound right. He said he was having problems breathing. Hey, can you just go in and check on him? Not like a nice sister would. Like, hey, I'm concerned about my bro. Can you get, just make sure he's all right. So Zulema wasn't home, so she calls her son. She's like, hey, you can go check on Alex, make sure he's okay. His sister called. So he runs out. He calls the police, and he's like, y'all need to come. He passed out on the floor, and he's not moving. So he calls his mom and was like, hey, Alex is gone. He, passed out on the floor. They did do an autopsy on Alex, and what's interesting is that even though they're stating that there are natural causes, he also had the drug Narcan in his system. And so with him not being a opiate addict or anything of that nature where you would need that kind of medicine in your system to bring you out of an overdose, it was very strange that it's in there. So they're still keeping his death open. They have not closed it as of yet.
So I got a kick out of this. Bubble Bath Bourbon says, I'm going to need a spreadsheet to keep track of everything that's going on now at this point.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And that's why I'm glad that we have Kathy Jo in the background putting the overlays on so that we can remind everyone who we're talking about.
Yeah, it's a lot. The one thing I like about this case, because it's recent, is there is so much information out there, and you do kind of have to connect the dots because there are so many different people that are just connected to Lori, and they're dropping like flies.
Everyone's dying around her.
Yes, absolutely. So like I said before, Natalie goes to police with all of this information that she knows. And she's like, hey, my ex-husband is actually married to Lori Vallow's niece. You know, this is what's going on. So the FBI actually reached out to Ian and convinced him to wear a wire to talk to Melanie. And so he goes there. He's trying to get information out of her. She doesn't let up at all. She doesn't give out any information, no instances at all. Oh, cheers, Emmanuel. Nice to see you.
Cheers.
And he ends up telling Melanie he's wearing a wire, which wire 101, don't tell people you're actually fucking wearing it. Like, that's the whole point.
Right? What the? I know that I took all this time to conceal it, but guess what I got?
Right. He absolutely told her, hey, I'm wearing a wire. You know, this is what's going on. So luckily, Natalie, her sleuthy self, knew the passwords to Ian's computer. So, oh, cheers, Bourbon Beginnings. Nice to see you. So they were able to actually get into Ian's computer, and they found a document that told by Lori and Alex that Melanie's ex-husband, Brandon, needed to die, and that the kids, Tylee and JJ, were possessed by zombies and needed to be taken care of. So this is actually a written document located on Ian's computer that was done by Lori and Chad.
Could you imagine finding something like that, knowing the family and finding that, and just, I can't even imagine the emotions that you would be flooded with. I don't even know them. And it makes me physically nauseous sometimes as I was going through some of this stuff.
I think
getting
it's
prepared for tonight.
Yeah, I think it's sad because, like you and I have both talked, we've been following this since it started. So unfortunately, when I was going with it and reading it and listening to it, I was like, they're not alive. When the kids were missing, I was like, there's no way that they're being hidden. And I hate, unfortunately, to think that way, but with everything that, you know, we've seen in the true crime world and how life is in general, you know, you just don't know when it's going to happen. So it's very strange, and it's very sad that my first reaction was she killed those kids.
Well, and living here in Idaho, as you know, when something happens in Florida, you get just bombarded with all the information. And there came a point, you know, about a year ago or a couple of years ago, I guess, where I had to stop following it for a minute because it was just too much anxiety as another thing that you thought was impossible would unfold. And then another thing that you would never believe unfolds. And it was one right after the other for like a 2-month period of time where I just had to step out. And then now going back and digging through it again when things like, you know, that just happened and are now going on in the trial coming up. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. So we are now December 20th of 2019. So this is 8 days after Alex passes away in Arizona. The Rexburg police officially announced the investigation into the children. And Chad and Lori are not cooperating. They're not speaking. They're not telling them anything at all. They're just trying to stay out of the way and as far away as possible away from the situation.
They're just hiding.
Yeah. So So on December 23rd or 24th, Lori and Chad issue a statement actually through an attorney saying that they love their son and daughter and look forward. Let me make sure I get this correct. They look forward to addressing allegations once they have moved beyond the speculation and rumor. So at this point, everybody's getting the information, the different stories, all of the different individuals that have passed away around her, and things are not adding up. So on December 27th, the police actually interview and speak to Chad's friend, Julie Rowe. And she said that years before Tammy had passed, Chad had a vision from the angels that said that Tammy would die. So not when she would die, how she would die, but that she would just die. It's just open-ended. So on December 30th, the police accuse Lori and Chad of lying to investigators and say they believe the couple know where the kids are, or at least what happened to them. The police are like, you guys know there's something fucking going on. You guys need to come and tell us. These are children. You would think you'd want to know where they are. And if you're not telling us where they are, then you absolutely know where they are.
And the media is blowing up. People are just like, why aren't you helping? These are your kids. Why aren't you worried? Why aren't you, for the love of God, go look for your kids, and everybody's just beside themselves.
Absolutely. So January 3rd of 2020. So we're getting there. We're in 2020 now. The Rexburg police and the FBI search Chad and Tammy's old house. So they search Chad's home in Salem. They remove about 43 items. They include, tech devices like cell phones and laptops, written journals, and they start to comb over sections of the snow-covered yard with metal detectors because they're trying to figure out what's going on. If you live in snow, you know that the ground freezes and you can't really detect a lot of stuff.
Yep.
So you really have to get in there before, I guess, the snow mounts up. I used to live in snow, even though I live in Florida. I have lived up north.
Ray Marie, I am definitely a bad influence on your daughter. I'm very sorry. I apologize in advance. I'm an even worse influence on you. So again, I apologize in advance.
Have a drink. It's okay. It's midweek. It's to, swim over the hump. So we are in 2020. So, they are, at this point, they're completely under investigation, and they're really digging into where these kids are, and they're trying to figure it out. So on January 25th, Lori and Chad are seen for the first time as the police actually served them 2 search warrants in Hawaii. And Lori was also served a court order to produce the children to authorities in Idaho within 5 days of being served this warrant. And of course, when this is going on, the media is approaching them, while the officers in the documents they refuse to say anything. They're not saying anything to police. They're not saying anything to the media. They're just taking these searches and they're going on their way. So, of course, January 30th rolls around and Lori misses the court date to produce the children. So,
Can you imagine? No, I'm just not bringing them. They're fine.
She's like, no, I'm going to go dance on the beach with my husband and we're going to chill watching the sunset. And that's just the way it's going to be.
Don't you wish you were me?
Right. So they're very, very concerned. So on February 10th, CBS actually reported that the police had found Tylee's cell phone in Lori's belongings in Hawaii. So if you remember earlier, Michelle had stated that Colby, who is Lori's last living child, her son, Tylee's brother. So the phone's with her. He said he was getting really weird messages that weren't from her. So one of them was, really busy, love ya. And that wasn't something that she would normally say. And, like we discussed earlier, people know how you text, how you talk, your tone, things of that nature. So they're going to be able to tell a little bit of that.
Yeah. So if William texts me honey bunches of smookums, something's probably wrong.
Like wrong number.
Yeah.
So February 20th, Lori is finally arrested in Hawaii and charged with 2 felony counts of desertion and non-support of dependent children and one misdemeanor court count, each for resisting and obstructing officers in solicitation of a crime and contempt of court. And they give her a $5 million bail at this point.
So basically for lying, for impeding, for endangering, and abandoning.
Absolutely. Bail was actually later reduced down to $1 million. Melanie's ex, remember Brandon, he's a big proponent in this case, has been saying she knows what happened to these kids and you really need to talk to her. Like, he's really being in people's ear about this, because remember, he was shot at during this time frame, and luckily he just smashed the windshield and didn't hit Brandon and take him out.
Bourbon Beginnings, yes. So they just decided on going for the death penalty. She's sitting a few miles away from me waiting to go to trial.
Yep, absolutely. So then on the 24th, in child custody court documents between Brandon and Melanie, because remember they were going through a custody case when he was shot at, it says that Ian told law enforcement that Melanie conspired with Alex to kill Brandon. So we have Ian telling the FBI that his ex-wife was trying to kill him and that they had hired Alex to do so. And so Brandon also alleges in these papers that police are investigating Melanie's role in the disappearance of the children as well as Brandon's shooting. So as much as she's trying to step away and not have her involvement, Brandon is putting her right in the middle of it, and kudos to him because he should. Then on February 26th, they had an extradition hearing, and the judge refused to lower her bail.
Yep.
And so she stayed in Hawaii before actually being extradited to Idaho. Then on March 5th, they did extradite her. They lowered it to $1 million. And then what I thought was funny, so March 9th, she is trying to get out of prison. So she's trying to get her bail money, but there isn't any bail bondsman that will give her any money to get her out. They did not want to touch her at all. They didn't want their bail bondsman name attached to that kind of offender. And they're like, nope. And so no one would bail her out. So she actually had to sit there in prison, which she still is. She hasn't been out.
I love it. I absolutely love that. That is one of my favorite things to hear.
Absolutely.
Is that people that are in the business of putting up bail to get you out of jail said, no, screw the business. I am not touching this, even though they would become a famous bail bondsman probably being attached to it.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's famous for one reason or another, good or bad.
Either way.
It's just like good press or bad press. It's still press either way.
Hey, Mike Stahl is here. Cheers. You're late. Glad to see you.
Cheers. Nice to see you, Stahl.
Hi, Mike. Also, Donald Rance is here. Thanks for joining us, Donald.
Oh, nice to see you. So on March 17th of 2020, Lori professes her innocence through a statement through her attorney. And as 2 other members of her defense team quit, and then the judge himself recuses himself from the case. So her initial defense team walked, and the initial judge recused himself from the case.
Okay, so Kathy Jo, can we throw that picture of her up again? Because Eric thinks she looks like a homecoming queen from Cell Block C. Okay, I love that.
That's funny.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So on March 24th of 2020, NBC actually reported that the couple had become convinced that the kids were possessed and were zombies, which is crazy. But there are court documents filed by Lori's niece Melanie and ex-husband Brandon that allege Lori had told people she believed her kids were zombies before she disappeared.
Yeah.
So she was telling this to multiple people, that her kids were zombies and something needed to make sure that they were taken care of.
She truly believed it. I believe that she truly believed that.
For sure. So April 9th, the police revealed they're investigating Lori and Chad for murder, attempted murder, and conspiracy in connection to Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell, which is good because they need to go check that out. And so then on June 9th, they go for another search warrant of Chad's home, and that is when they discover the human remains in the pet cemetery. And this is where Alex has his cell phone pinged on 2 separate accounts on where they were found.
So the pet cemetery, this is not that big of a lot if you look at it, truly.
No, it's not that big of a lot.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's
not like they could say, Alex Cox was out there for X amount of minutes, but he could have been out on the back 9. It's a fairly small property.
Absolutely. And at this point, Chad is actually charged with destruction or concealment of evidence, and later with felony murder, and his bail was put at $1 million. And fun fact, he actually got out at one point on bail.
Yeah. And Big League Bourbon, cheers to you. Glad you're here.
Cheers. Absolutely.
Yeah, he did get out on bail, and I'll be honest, I don't remember how long that was. It wasn't very long, but it was longer than I thought it should have been.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
But it shouldn't have been as long as he was out. So on the next day, Kay Woodcock, who was the grandmother of JJ, announces and confirms that one of the sets of human remains was JJ Vallow, and that the Ryan family came out and confirmed that the second remains were Tylee. It's so sad for the family, and I really feel for them. I wouldn't want to be in that situation. 3 days later, the Rexburg police actually come out and confirmed it, that Tylee had been dismembered and partially burned, and that JJ was just wrapped in plastic with duct tape. So they were able to execute another search warrant on his property on June 29th. So they were able to find them. They're able to say how they found the body, but not how they actually passed away at this point. Yeah. So on July 2nd, so a few days later, the charges against Lori for desertion and non-support of dependent children and concealment of evidence regarding the kids' bodies were actually dismissed. And that was because they were updating it to include 2 other felony charges. And so they dismissed those smaller charges at the end. Eric can correct me if I'm wrong, if they're able to do that or not.
So they just, it sounds like they just dropped I think they were using those smaller ones just to get their hands on them. And then when they had something more concrete, they dismissed those and introduced new charges.
Yes.
God, Lil hit it right on the head. Your comment was perfect.
Yeah, and absolutely. So July 17th, there was a lot that happened in the court. The 2 felony accounts against Lori had been dropped, and her bond was lowered by the Madison County Judge Michelle Millard. Judge Millard actually decided to decrease her bond to $50,000 on each charge that she was facing, a totaling of $150,000. But noted that Chad would still have to post his $1 million bail in order to get out.
Yeah.
So the bond reduction and the jury trial in Fremont County, there was just a lot that they were trying to get all the charges in one box. Like, what are we going to charge them with? What are we dropping? And then the bail issue. So
and they were, I'm sorry, the 2 were combined, right?
Yeah, and they still are. So,
yeah, and at one point in time, they were trying to separate them.
Yes.
But she didn't want to, but he did. Am I got that backwards?
So at first they were going to sever the cases, but then when they realized that a lot of the same information and evidence is the same, they decided to keep the cases together, actually for a cost-saving measure for the state of Idaho and the taxpayers, because the end of the day, the taxpayers pay for all of that. So they were stating, since they're going to be giving out the same information and evidence during the trial that they didn't want to sever them. And Lori Vallow actually has instructed her attorneys to not sever the cases. She does not want them severed. But the issue that they're running into is that Chad has waived his right to a speedy trial. And he wants to be able to take the extra time for his defense team because he is facing a death penalty. And Lori did not, and she has not done waived her right to a speedy trial. So that's what they're trying to work out currently, is if they're going to go to trial in October or if they're going to go to trial in January, because her trial for Lori is actually set in October, because that would have been the 6-month mark per the speedy trial in the Idaho state law. And then Chad's is set for January because he waived it because he wants his defense team to have an extra time.
So, and maybe Eric can answer this, I don't know, but I don't understand, because I know that her lawyers are saying, you know, waive your right, and she's refusing to. And I guess I'm just wondering, I looked, did you see anything, Jen, as to why she won't? Because I didn't find anything.
No, and the attorneys actually don't know why either. So when they spoke to the judge, they're like, she understands what she's being charged with. She understands the speedy trial law. She understands all of these stipulations that she has to go under. She does not want to waive her right to a speedy trial, but she also doesn't want to sever the cases. So there's this.
Maybe that's her. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's her plan.
So from what I understand is that if they do go to trial in 6 months and they lose or she's acquitted, you can't charge her again because of the double jeopardy law.
Right.
So she could walk. So the prosecution wants the extra time, but the defense also wants the extra time because it is a death penalty case. So, and her attorneys also said they understand that as a judge, there is a stipulation within the law that the judge can make the decision to extend beyond the 6 months for the speedy trial. And that if it's not a detriment to the defendant or anything that would be against her, that would ruin her chances, I guess, at a fair trial. So if the judge makes that decision, he can do that and then make the extension to January and then hold both cases at the same time.
So now we this was the thing was, so we were going through this. Where are you at in your timeline? So okay, she waives that right to he waives the right to the speedy trial, but she doesn't, right?
Correct.
Now, did she do that before or after? Because I know September 8th, she's still told that they still find her incompetent to stand trial. They're like, she's nutso. She needs to go get some mental help at a facility. And I say nutso because I have to keep this a little light. I really don't think that about mental health. It's just I have to keep this a little light for me because it's so dark. So I apologize for that.
Right. So Lori and Chad were actually first charged on May 25th of 2021 with first-degree murder for the deaths of the children. And Chad was also charged with first-degree murder, the death of his wife, Tammy. And then Lori was charged with grand theft related to Social Security survivor benefits, over $1,000 allocated for the case of minors of Tylee and JJ while they were appropriated while the children were missing, ultimately found deceased. And then Chad was additionally charged with insurance fraud related to the insurance policy that he had out for Tammy Daybell, which he was the beneficiary, and he was also paid out when she passed. So that was May 25th. On May 27th, so that's 2 days later. So she's charged with first-degree murder. She's charged with all of these. 2 days later, she is deemed incompetent and unfit to stand trial. So that was May 27th of 2021. And then June of that year, she was indicated on conspiracy charges for the murder of Charles. Because remember, Alex did the actual murder. They're trying to, get her for conspiracy within there. So then the prosecution comes in the next month. They decide to drop the counts for conspiracy to destroy or alter or conceal evidence against them because they have the other charges. then, I mean, we're going to move pretty quick. So then on August 5th of 2021, prosecutions announced that they are actually going to seek the death penalty for Chad. And then August 26th is when he comes out and he waives his right to a speedy trial once he has stated that he is facing the death penalty. Whew, okay.
Okay.
So
Okay. Real quick, little announcement. It's 5 to 11. 5 more minutes to get your entries in for that Elijah Craig barrel-proof C921, and then we're going to shut down the giveaway because it's 5 to 11 my time. I don't know what time it is where you are, Jen. I know it's late where you are.
It's almost 1. I'm chilling.
All right, so 5 more minutes. We'll shut that that giveaway down.
Yep. And okay, so Chad waives his right for the speedy trial, and that's due to the death penalty part of it. So then on September 8th, Judge Boyce found that Lori Vallow is still incompetent based on the progress report from the mental health facility that she was staying in, and she was giving another 180 days to attain competency. So she's in a mental health facility, working, I guess, through her mental issues, I guess, to maybe accept the fact that you are being charged with this because you did it. So we need to go, you just need to go ahead and, try to work through this. On October 8th is when the judge actually approves Chaz Daybell request to move the trial to another city. So that's how it got moved over to Ada County. Idaho. They're like, yeah, we'll go ahead and move it. There's several different things that they say about that. They say Ada County is kind of a bigger county than where the crime actually was committed. There's going to be a bigger jury pool to be able to pull through. They still believe that they're probably going to be a sequestered jury. It's going to be very hard to find a lot of impartial people, only because it's been going on for so long and there is so much information out there. There was a lot of information that you and I just found. So, it's available for that. So it's going to be a different issue. So that's why they decided to go ahead and move it to a bigger county. Yeah. And then
where they're at, where they actually lived is very tiny. It's
very
okay.
Small.
Yeah.
Very small. Okay.
Little small Idaho town.
So we are into December 28th of 2021. The judge actually removes a attorney from Lori Vallow's defense team because of conflict of interest. His name was Mark Means, because he had actually previously represented Chad Daybell in a different case. So he was working on Lori's defense team, even though he had defended her husband in a different case. So the judge felt that was a conflict of interest and removed him from the defense team.
Yeah, you can't do that.
No. All right, we're on March 3rd of this year, people. 2022. Woohoo!
Thank you for hanging in with us. We're getting there.
Absolutely. The prosecutors in Arizona announced they will not file conspiracy charges to commit murder against Chad Daybell in the attempted shooting case of Brandon Bordeaux, because they can't actually prove that he had anything to do with it. They kind of say that they were trying to tie him to it because of Lori, but they can't absolutely state that he had anything to do or any connection to that. Oh, thanks. It's over there. Okay, so March 21st, the judge denied Chad's request to separate the cases. So, and that's where we're at, right? So he wants to separate them. The judge says no, and then he waives his speedy trial. Lori doesn't. And like I stated before, there is a way that the judge can state that he believes the cases should move together and that it should be over her right of the 6-month speedy trial, and that there wouldn't be any negative to her or her defense team by giving them that extra time in order to prepare for a death penalty case. So on April 11th of 2022, the judge declares Lori Vallow competent to stand trial in the criminal proceedings against her in a higher order to continue. So we are here.
Finally. They're like, all right, you're sane enough to know what's going on around you. And I'll be honest, I don't know if she was sane enough before, But either way, I'm so glad that she's now going to have to sit in front of a jury of her peers.
Absolutely. And so then on, let's see, April 14th of 2022, Lori is actually taken to the Madison County Jail in Rexburg because, you know, she's now competent. So she's leaving the mental health facility and she's going to big girl jail. She has to put on her girl pants and, you know, put up your bootstraps because now you're in good girl jail.
Cute orange girl pants.
Yep, absolutely. So April 19th, 5 days later, after she's taken to prison in her nice orange jumpsuit, she pleads not guilty to all charges, and her original trial was set for October 11th, and they actually moved it to December 16th of 2022. On April 28th, Judge Boyce actually denied Chad Daybell's attorney's request to drop his charges completely. He wanted all charges dropped. He's like, there's nothing pointing to me. You need to go ahead and just let me out of jail.
Yeah,
Now,
just your land with the bodies in it.
Right.
That's all.
And so some of the attorney podcasts that I was listening to actually stated that this might point to the fact that Chad might flip and testify against Lori because it's a death penalty case, right? Are you really going to go for the death penalty for a woman that you married and, you know, are going to go down this road? Or are you going to tell them what happened, put the blame on Lori, and then just take your charges and get the death penalty off the table? So some of the attorneys think that he's going to maybe talk in order to get the death penalty off of the table.
Yeah, I mean, he's had some time to think while she was in the mental hospital, you know, and reflect over meeting her and how that. I mean, he was an author following LDS and somehow went a little wonky, and I mean,
yeah. So then on May 2nd of 2022, the prosecution finally announced that they will be seeking the death penalty for Lori Vallow. Everybody do a happy dance. Chick killed her kids. So, and this is where her attorneys and Lori are fighting, like we were discussing earlier. So she states she does not want to waive her right to a speedy trial. But then her attorneys go on to say, but she does understand that if you have to extend it, she's okay with it. So this is where they're starting to play in, because her attorneys have also told Judge Boyce that her mental health is very fragile and very complex at this moment, and that the competency may wane. So they're already putting out there that she may not be competent in a week. We don't know, but we're trying to tell her the importance of taking this extra time because it's a death penalty case. And because you have to understand everything that's on the line, it's literally your life. And so they really, really hope that the judge is able to take the time and agree with them to extend it past the 6-month Idaho state right that she has for the speedy trial, because she says she understands if he has to extend it and she's okay with it, but she's not going to waive her right. Right. So I looked today because I wanted to see if there was any updates. So there's actually word from the judge as of yesterday that he's gonna put in his written summary of what he believes, if he's gonna go ahead and move both cases to January and keep them together, or if the defense is actually gonna have to go ahead and do their trial coming up in October or December, depending on which date, because they have two. The October and December trial. So I'm looking out for that because the judge hasn't given his written opinion yet or what he believes should take place. So we're waiting on that. They haven't given an ETA on when the judge is actually going to give his determination, how he's going to preside over these cases. But I really, to be honest, I mean, anybody facing a death penalty case, you deserve to have a good defense, because you don't want it to be overturned on appeal, right? You don't want it to be like, oh, she was competent. No, she wasn't. Because as a law, you cannot give someone the death penalty that is mentally incompetent or anything like that. You just can't do it. So they would have to overturn it to life. if they actually got the actual conviction. So it just depends on where they are. So the defense really hopes that the judge will move it because they're not going to sever the cases at the point.
Right. So that's where we are, folks.
That's where we are. And that was as of yesterday. The judge will be a written decision on if they're going to sever or if they're going to keep them together.
So raise of hands who followed along. Who knows where we are?
I do. But that's because we did the research.
Who can name all the dead people?
It's a lot.
And
Brandon Bordeaux actually came out and accused Lori and Chad of being part of a death cult because of the amount of people that have died within their small circle in a very short period of time.
It's insane. Okay, so IC86 raised his paw.
Oh, awesome.
Tim Robertson is also able to do so, as is Kathy Jo.
Oh, I had no doubts about Kathy Jo.
But she has notes, she says, so, don't count on her. Okay, so we have closed the giveaway. Kathy Jo tells me there are 23 entries. So, Jen, you want to pick a number between 1 and 23?
9.
9. Okay, Tim Robertson says it's easier to tell those who've left alive.
Very true.
So we are going to wait to get that number from Kathy Jo. Meanwhile, I just want to say thank you to all our patron supporters. We would not be able to do all this fun stuff if it wasn't for you. We, try to make your membership worthwhile to you. However, please know that it really is us being grateful to you because you are the ones that make it possible for us to research these crimes and do the giveaways and sit here every Wednesday and drink with friends and give away free shit. So Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. Wow. I almost hit end broadcast instead of back to chat. That would have sucked really bad right before the giveaway.
And nope.
Okay. Mr. Jiggs. Did I get that right? Mr. Jiggs is our winner.
Congrats.
Mr. Jiggs, I may or may not have your hand delivery address. Could you please shoot me an email at womenofwhiskies@gmail.com so I can get that delivery going for you this week? Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you all for all the entries. Definitely appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much. On your way out, guys, if you haven't, please subscribe. We are pretty close to our next goal. Hit the like button. Thanks for hanging out on a Wednesday with us, Jen. Always fun. We're going to have to plan a bonus episode soon. Otherwise, fourth Wednesday every month.
Yep, every month.
Patrons, we will get the next crime in there for you guys to vote on and the next cocktail. I'm very curious to see what Jen has up her sleeves. If any of you ever have any suggestions on crimes or cocktails that you think we should do, please, again, email that to womenofwhiskies@gmail.com so we know your thoughts.
Absolutely.
Nothing. I misread something. Okay. Whatever you do, just remember that, like we always say, there's no wrong way to drink your whiskey. Just drink it with your friends and drink it how you like it.
Absolutely.
Cheers, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye, Jen.
Bye. Have a good one.